America launched the Hubble telescope into outer space before civil rights were codified into law for people with disabilities. Let that sink in. We were only 7 months into the 1990s before adoption of the Americans with Disabilities Act. And while this watershed moment finally afforded basic human rights to some of our most vulnerable citizens, the fight for acceptance continues to this day.
They enjoy life and they don't want to be excluded. They definitely don't want to be segregated. I think that what we've learned in the past is that as we embrace differences in people, that we become a better society. We're able to work together because we get more contributors.
The unemployment rate for people with disabilities is twice as high compared to the unemployment rate for people without disabilities.
I remember talking to a person in a wheelchair, and I said, "What do you want to be?" And he said, "I want to be an astronaut." And everyone kind of scoffed and thought that was sort of a reductive idea. But I said, "Well, why do you want to be an astronaut?" And he said, "Because in space I can float and I'll be just as ambulatory as everybody else."
People who want to live in their own home, or they live in 4-bedroom homes and receive around-the-clock care, there are waiting lists that are years long. There's also options for people with disabilities to live with their own family members, and their family members get paid to take care of them. Or similar situation where they're living in somebody else's home, somebody from the community wanting to take somebody in, similar to the foster care system, to where they take somebody with a disability in, they become their caretaker, and they live in their home with them and become a family together.
They work jobs, not just as greeters, and they can be successful at it given the proper supports.
People with disabilities don't want to be a prop. They want to contribute to the business and have a purpose. They offer retention. Once they're in a job, their retention rates are higher.
When a person with disability rolls in his wheelchair or talks with cerebral palsy or a different accent, people, whether they want to admit it or not, any interviewer has a prejudicial attitude about a person because they base a lot on how you look, unfortunately. What people with disabilities have to do is they have to fight through that barrier, overcome it, and surpass it. And when they do that, they absolutely amaze a lot of the people that they are employed by.
Subminimum wage is when a person with disabilities is paid less than minimum wage to perform a job. So sometimes that can just be mere cents. It shouldn't be legal. It's discriminatory. It's unfair. Why should a person, just because they have a disability, just because they were born with a disability, be paid less than anybody else?
Folks feel that it's okay for them to be segregated. It's okay for them to be in larger institutions when in fact it is not. We all want the same thing and we all deserve that chance, whether you're disabled or not.
I founded Community Options in 1989. We started it from my kitchen table in my house, and we started with 3 small homes, and today we have 650 homes. We develop housing and employment for people with disabilities, period.
To be able to live in community residence, you can live in an apartment, you can live in a 1 or 2 or 3-bedroom home with roommates and folks that you like, not just being put with someone that you may not get along with. And then we also actually interview the individual about the kinds of jobs that they're interested in, and then getting the appropriate supports and training so that they are succeeding in that particular job.
Our homes and staffing are based on the needs of the person. We do anything from total care to where we help with bathing, toileting, hygiene, feeding, transportation, to just offering assistance when needed. So someone may just need verbal prompting of, don't forget to brush your teeth, don't forget to do this. So when it comes to housing, having a choice of where you want to live is really important, and that should be afforded to people with disabilities as well.
We are excited that we have partners that help us provide meaningful and well-paid jobs in our communities.
I'll never forget the first house we had a governor come. And then I said to the governor, "Would you like a tour?" And she said, "Okay." And a woman with a disability walked down the hall, and she took her into the garage, and she hugged the van, and she said, "This takes me places. It takes me to the mall where I have a job." She cared about the fact that she was able to access the community.
A lot of our work entails taking people out of institutions and putting them into home community-based settings. The reality of it is that oftentimes in the institutions, they are treated poorly and unfairly, almost like criminals at times. So when we bring them into the community setting and bring them into one of our homes, having their own bedroom and having a home, it's not just a house, it's a home.
Besides the thousands of people that remain in institutions costing taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars, There are also thousands of people that are on waiting lists. They can't get the services because the Medicaid budgets won't sustain those folks. So what we try to do is educate the public officials and everyone that we can talk to about the fact that unless they figure out ways to change that sort of funding methodology, there won't be any place for them to go.
People can choose what kind of living setting that they want to live in. Do they want to live with their own family members and receive care, or do they want to live in a setting where they're around people like them as well, but still integrated into the community and still have neighbors and are still able to work and enjoy life?
Community Options Incorporated, supporting people with disabilities since 1989.
For more, visit comop.org.